The report suggests that a U.S. Border Patrol officer shot and killed an armed individual who was wanted for violent assault during a targeted operation in Minnesota, according to the Department of Homeland Security. I believe this is the second time a citizen was shot. Of course, earlier on this month, we've heard about the story of Helen Good, and that video took to storm all over the universe. I want to talk about this issue with Norman Floyd Barnes, his analysis, as well as whatever that is happening in the United States. Norman Floyd Barnes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Greetings from the nation capital, Washington, D.C. As you can see, we are now in the siege of a major snow and ice storm. I mentioned ice as a part of it is we are experiencing as we speak right now a major snowstorm from the states of spanning across the entire country from New Mexico to New England. It's anticipated that this storm will carry out with heavy snow totals through Monday. And so far, 145,000 people are without power. And we are looking for another 10,000 people to be affected by this as this storm moves forward. Washington, D.C. has declared a state of emergency in terms of weather, all schools and travel, people telling people not to move and travel around. On the other side, ISIS in Minnesota has inflicted another fatality. They have federal agents has killed a Minnesota resident who is was a ICU nurse in the campaign for the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. Once again, this incident was captured on video, broadcast across the world. Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security has responded stating that the officers was justified in the shooting. There was some 10 shots fired at this person. They say he had a weapon. He had a weapon on him, but video showed that the weapon was removed before he was shot. So now we have protests, additional protests in there requesting that all of ICE officers be removed from the state. The federal police is on standby dealing with this. The U.S. military has been brought up by the president. The Insurrection Act was brought up again about that because of that. We anticipate additional protests. The National Guard by the state has been deployed. So we, as I mentioned before, this hot mess has become basically a real problem for Minnesota. And the people in Minnesota are now questioning, we feel like we are under siege. We have been threatened by our own nation, and we are in fear of our lives. So the situation is very, very sensitive there. It's a tinderbox. It could explode. It will explode as this campaign goes on. So Congress, the Senate, Democratic Party has stated that if there's one more shooting, one more incident, they will pull funding for Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security. So now we are dealing with an internal conflict, internal battle, a battle between the states. The federal government and the states are now appear to be poised for a conflict, and this is not good for the United States, particularly as we do other things around the world. The president, while we're talking about this, is ironic. The president has used the term armada, has deployed a naval armada off the coast of Iran. That should be in place shortly to deal with the impending conflict there. So there's a lot of talk about the impending attack. So this is what's happening here in Washington today, right now, and the next 48 hours is going to determine how the United States is dealing with this weather-related issue while we're dealing with this ice issue in Minnesota, and everybody is holding their breath because it does not look good for next week.
What are the main differences? I see that the electric vehicles coming in from China to Canada would only bolster Canada's economy. Not having a reliance on the fossil fuel market would be important for Canada in the upcoming days as well. However, this kind of comment between the two leaders of the two nations will be important for other stakeholders. As Advocate Mohsen Rashid was also saying, it may not have a direct impact, but it has an impact for all the markets of the world. And of course, Bangladesh is a global player. I want to get an observation from Norman Flood Barnes. This is an important time for US-Canada relationships. How do you think it will stand in the coming days?
Thank you for that question. It's a very complicated answer to that is that uh, it appears that the current Trump administration wants to colonize the world. I'm saying that is basically they want to determine, it appears, that to do, they want our allies, our friends, our business associates to only do business with America. However, in light of what we are witnessing day to day, how we deal with our internal issues, how we deal with external issues, our promises and our involvement and commitments globally, countries are looking for alternatives because they have lost the trust that their administration is going to do what they say they're going to do. So they're making alternative plans and alternative deals to deal with things. And it appears that the Trump administration do not want people to shop around and do business with other people. They want them to basically be subservient to the Trump administration, trade, commerce, and financial businesses and everything else. That is not going to happen. That is not realistic. That is very closed-minded, and I don't see how it's going to prevail. 100% tariffs, 200%, 500, 1,500% tariffs is not going to deter people to do things that they feel well. If I'm not getting a good product from you, I'm not getting good service from you, and not getting respect from you, I'm not going to do business with you. So it's going to have a effect, yes. It's going to cause a lot of problem, yes. But in the end of the day, it's how you treat people. It's how you treat people. If you don't show respect to me, I'm not going to show respect and my money to you.
The head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps warned the US on Saturday that the paramilitary force is more ready than ever, with a finger on the trigger, as the American warships are headed towards the Middle East. Of course, the Guard was known as the Commander-in-Chief IRGC General Mohammad Pakpour, who had made such a comment regarding it. And of course, the Associated Press, the AP, had taken note of this outcome. And of course, as Mohsen Rashid was stating in our show here today, that the UAE and India were designing scripts marking agreements between the two nations, of course, defense ties as well. And one cannot ignore the fact of the Islamic NATO emerging out of Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey. This entire triangle would come to the support of Iran in the case of a war-like outcome. But yes, US has military bases, military assets in the region. I want to understand more from Norman Floyd Barnes. We thought that the case with Iran had gone down given the fact that other issues took over regarding Greenland. But right now it is coming back to the major screens. I want to understand, do you think an imminent strike into Iran is possible given the movement of the US carrier armada?
Thank you for that question. But through all appearance, if we look at the pattern of the Trump administration, look at Venezuela. When they deployed a military contingent, armada, a flotilla, a aircraft carrier, a task force unit to the Venezuelan coast. That was part of a strategic plan. I see the same thing happening in Iran, that there's a plan in place. They're putting together a model for some type of action. You can't put that many military, naval, and other resources in a region without some type of plan. Things happen, incidents happen. So there has to have a very focused mission. There's a mission in place for that. When that mission starts is be determined when the president feels that everything is secured. Has he communicated with his allies in the region, Saudi Arabia? The Prime Minister of Israel, is he ready? What is our status of our military bases? And are we prepared to engage? There was a plan earlier last week to engage, but the assets and all of the logistics was not in place. So supposedly these logistics will be in place, and there will be an operational plan and a mission that will be activated. We don't know when. It could be as soon as tomorrow, or it could be several weeks or a month from now. But there's a staging process, and the military do not stage unless there's a mission. So the mission, when it's activated, is determined by when the president feels that he's comfortable with the plan, and then it will happen. So I don't think that's going to be there just to scare people. They're there for a mission, and we can expect some type of action.
That is important, and I want to have another question regarding Middle East, but to other countries that have recently joined hands. I want to have this question to Norman Flood Barnes. I believe that the broadcast with Mr. Norman would last another 5 minutes. As Mohsen Rashid was also picking out the defense pact between the two leaders of India and the United Arab Emirates, I believe that you have significant experience working with United Arab Emirates in your career. Of course, the two sides signed pacts covering defense manufacturing, technology transfer, space cooperation, infrastructure investments, and of course, a 200 billion bilateral trade target by 2032. And of course, as globalization persists, the cultural similarities do exist between the two nations, as they are old trading friends. I want to understand, what is the global outlook? What are the position or the posturing of the Arab nations, if not just Saudi Arabia, but as well as UAE, who is commonly heard in various fronts, sometimes in Yemen, sometimes in Sudan. This name comes up continuously. I want to thank Mohsen Rashid for picking this out, and I want to ask Norman, what is your take regarding UAE and its friendship with India?
Yes, I have experience working in the UAE and in that region. And I can tell you, for one, that the UAE is dedicated to the brotherhood. They will work with Arab nations. Their intention is to continue their, yes, they will entertain the United States for a purpose, but at the end of the day, they will work, they will support, and they will back the other nations in that region. They look at the world a little bit different than how we look at it. They prefer to communicate and use soft power versus strong power. They're a country of resources, and they want to utilize these resources versus having to go into a military situation. Their parents is basically, when you talking military, that means all communications is failed. We have no other options, and that's something they drastically do not want to get to a point where that's the last situation, and that's the only thing they can do. So there's always an option, particularly when there's a financial resources to incur that. There's trade, there's commerce, other things. There's relationship issues. They're looking at long-term relationship. After this situation is over, how do we coexist as a people generationally? So they're looking into the future versus the present situation or the current situation, and they are looking to basically create a stable situation where people can understand each other. And get that needs met.